The economic landscape for the past 3 years has been a stormy sea, which has left the public and experts stunned with a series of unexpected and mind-numbing developments. We can all agree that 2020 was the year that catapulted the surge of inflation across America, leading to an unprecedented aftermath of events. If we look at 2023, the economic narrative took a turn of events practically overnight, and this change is quite the contrary to the continuous upward spiral we were expecting. Influential figures such as Doug McMillon, the visionary CEO of Walmart, are now sounding the alarm about a potential descent into an era of deflation. This is a rare occurrence in the country, which was not witnessed for decades, and this situation just adds to the thrills of the current economic roller coaster. The dilemma of what the future may bring, inflationary pressure or deflation celebrations, keeps everyone at the edge of their seats and guessing. Right now, deflation seems to be the best thing to ever happen, and sometimes it can be. Who wouldn't like to pay less? However, deflation in the US comes with some serious headaches. Let's look into it. The big deal about deflation is that it triggers what economists call a deflationary doom loop, and that is a literal nightmare for the government. So what's a doom loop? When deflation starts, people notice what's happening, and they hold off purchases expecting further price reductions. This creates panic and competition within sellers, which makes them reduce prices even more to compete in this tight market. This sets off a chain reaction where everyone realizes prices are in free fall, so they hold off on buying even longer, expecting things to get even cheaper. See where this is going? It's a never-ending loop. This chain of events causes serious damages to companies, as they can't make a clear profit. No profit simply means that the companies can't maintain their usual number of employees. This is just one of the consequences out of many. It was the same scenario during the Great Depression, with unemployment rising to double digits, and in the Great Recession, unemployment hit over 10%. So yes, the prices may go low, but the job market goes lower. All of these probable downfalls have caused caution among economists. You can further understand this by listening to this clip of Charlie Munger speaking of this exact problem. It's a bit long-winded, but I think it's worth a listen, since that's where we're headed at this rate. Before going on with the clip, I would really appreciate if you just took 2 seconds to hit that like button and subscribe button if you're enjoying the video thus far. Now, back to the clip.
Mr. Munger, this morning while discussing index funds, used the example of Japan as a real example of poor performance of a major index over a long period. Indeed, the S&P 500 index declined over 60% in real terms from the early 60s through the mid-70s. Could you discuss the mental models you use to consider the impact of inflation or deflation on your investment decisions and the likelihood of either occurring over the next decade?
Well, that's partly easy and partly tough. If interest rates are going to go way up, you can obviously have a lot of deflation of stock prices. And a lot of that happened in the American period you're talking about. What's interesting about Japan is that I don't think anybody thought that a major modern Keynesian democracy, pervaded by a good culture in terms of engineering, product quality, product innovation, and so forth, could have a period where you would have negative 13 years without major depression either. I think that and that it would occur while interest rates were going down, not up. I think that was so novel that the models of the past totally failed to predict it. But I think these anomalies are always very interesting, and I think it's crazy for Americans to assume that what's happening in Argentina and what has happened in Japan are totally inconceivable forever in America. They are not totally inconceivable.
If you heard it right, we're not ready for something like what happened in Argentina and Japan. Japan specifically experienced hardships during the period between 1991 to 2001, which was called the Lost Decade, with extremely low GDP growth that frequently tipped into contraction. Moreover, unemployment rose, consumer spending declined, and the stock index plunged from an all-time high of around 39,000 in 1989 to under 8,000 by 2003, a nearly 80% crash. With zero growth, revenues and profits basically dried up. The bubble that initially collapsed was the land and housing sector, leading to a 70% plummet in Japanese property values throughout the 90s. Following suit, the price of commercial and residential real estate imploded. This stagnant crisis spread from stocks to a broader economy, and ever since, Japan has been struggling with persistent deflation prices and wages for a decade. Even extreme monetary policies like 0% interest rates and quantitative easing fail to reignite inflation. And to add to that, the aging population has hampered this problem. According to Munger, Japan's economic history is a much-needed reminder right now for America to understand that severe financial crisis and extended recessions can occur even in well-developed countries. Fallout can be unavoidable, and mostly, it can last long, and it may not stop at a decade once the asset bubble bursts or even if the credit market freezes up. Honestly, no country is completely immune for such a huge drop. Now to unravel the next big question. Is this a sign of a deflationary loop? Let's dive into it. If you take lumber, for instance, the cost has dropped by about 72% since its peak in April of 2021, compared to the average in 2019. A similar trend is seen in used cars, which brought down costs 19% from their peak in 2021. Even the major player of the global market, crude oil, has taken a massive hit, with prices down by 37% since its peak in June of 2022. New homes have seen a much bigger decline of 177% since their peak in October of 2022. Need I say more? Deflation is making its way through the economy, and the anxiety of wondering if the housing market is the next domino to fall will keep you up at night. Catch up with us in our next video for more. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoyed watching the video. Make sure you leave a comment below letting me know what you're seeing in your local neighborhood.